Are we rolling? Because I'm about to make a confession. Like, I think Hayden Cooper is the future of film. Already an award-winning filmmaker, like 17 years old, which is crazy. I am so proud of her. And I want to give her a job one day. So I just being able to capture what you do fiscally, what you do, but also who you are.
Welcome back to another episode of Mind Your Own Business. I'm attorney Jerry Parisi, and today we have the awesome, the unforgettable Molly Pass with Moon Trip Productions. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you so much for having me. Your space is so gorgeous, and I've loved attending was it an opening celebration? Why was I here last, Jerry?
It was like an open house.
Yeah, we had an open house, and I kind of fell in love with the place. So when I saw this spot open up, I felt like it was a sign.
I appreciate that. This is a cool space, and we're happy to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about Moon Trip Productions. First of all, where does the name Moon Trip Productions come from?
So this is like, if you're also a nerd, I might get into some comment arguments here, but I consider the first film, A Trip to the Moon, by George Méliès. This was literally over 100 years ago. And in this silent film, very short, you can watch it on whatever HBO is calling itself right now. I don't know when you're watching this. I don't know what merger is going on right now, but HBO Max, as it is in my brain, has George Méliès' A Trip to the Moon. And in this film, like, again, silent film, completely hand-colored, this group of like magicians, scientists go to the moon. It's from like 1902. And I've always just thought that was so ambitious that the first movie was like a sci-fi adventure film. So when I rebranded, because I started out as Molly Pass Video, and then there became this point where I was like, well, it's no longer just Molly Pass Video. I feel kind of shady, like excluding all of the many people who I love that helped me. And when I was thinking about what to recall myself, I was like, maybe we can go back to some film roots and we can be Moon Trip Productions. And so at the BNI, which is where I think I initially got connected with you guys, my whole thing is, we'll take your blank to the moon, just because it's fun to have a little catchphrase in there.
I like it. I love it, actually. And I thought you were going to go down the path of the fake moon landing video, but no, you went to 100-year-old silent film. For like, to break the fourth wall a little, I would like to know if everyone in the room saw that Channing Tatum's, who was that? It was a Channing Tatum like rom-com about the fake moon landing. Fly Me to the Moon. No one saw this? That's so funny. They made a rom-com about the fake moon landing, which was actually pretty good. I did enjoy it. I've got to write that down.
Yeah, Fly Me to the Moon. Yeah.
Loves Channing Tatum.
So it's like a double win. Like you can learn about the fake moon landing, and she can see Channing Tatum. We're throwing stuff on the podcast today.
Okay, so Moon Trip Productions. What do you guys do?
I
know you have a lot of fun over there, but what do you do?
We do have a lot of fun. If anyone ever wants to like stage a fake moon landing, we are open to that. So we literally do a little bit of everything. We started as a wedding video company. And, when I was Molly Pass Video, that was the only thing that we did. But then I found that those people who got married then still liked us afterwards. And I was like, whoa, I'm really, first of all, honored. But then because they still liked us afterwards, when they needed things like graduation photos for college, when they needed things like maternity photos for the kiddo that came out of that marriage for the wedding video that we shot 5 years ago or whatever, they came back to us. And then many of them started businesses, and we're in a very meta way, like we're making content right now, and like content is everywhere. So when they were looking at, I need to start an Instagram, I need a website, I need a Facebook, who can I have interview me? Who can I have video me? Let's call our wedding videographer back, and so then as they grew, sort of out of being brides and grooms and into being other things as well as husbands and wives, we kind of stayed along for the ride. So I would say now we are full service photo and video, primarily servicing business owners, but I still have a heart for weddings and events. I love weddings and events. If you're getting married, I would love to be there. But I would say our primary offering right now would be the content days and small business marketing specialties.
Awesome. So content is everywhere.
Yeah.
A phrase I heard.
It's all over. It's here right now.
It's in the room with us. The content. I've heard the phrase content is king.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your philosophy. Excuse me. A little bit about your philosophy when it comes to making content for business owners. What do you think works? Is it business niche specific? What is and how do you get there to figure out what you're going to do for a client?
Yeah. I mean, I think just like with the wedding video, I think the more that you know the person, the better the final result is going to be. So I think getting to know the business owner is the most important thing. I always like to say that we are bringing authenticity to the digital space. I find
Say that one more time. That was awesome.
We are bringing authenticity to the digital space.
I love it.
And to me, that means showing people as they are online. I think it is easier than ever to either show up inauthentically or, I guess what I was going to say was an example of that, but I find that we have sort of created these like online avatars of who we are
or who we want to portray.
Or this is my representation of myself. This is my avatar. And I am also guilty of this. I think it's the nature of the machine. But as business owners, people want to get to know you. People want to see you. Like in you guys' case, I would feel way more comfortable if I got bitten by a crazy dog in the street, calling my friend Jerry, who I know. But if I don't actually know you, a social media presence that is full of videos and full of, conversational pieces. Honestly, what you guys are doing with this, I think, is a part of bringing authenticity to the digital space because you're talking to business owners. It's largely unedited. Not that I've given you that option with having me on the podcast. I do sense, perhaps there will be some cuts here.
Strong edits coming in.
Just so maybe other people. But I think that talking to people, and I consider myself first a documentarian. So I think finding the root of who you are and what your business is. A great example would be Second Time Scrunchies is somebody that we've shot her wedding and business content. And then she even switched up the brand to Thrifty Gifts and, she's doing all kinds of things. But from talking to her and getting the heart of her business out there, not only did it lead to a bit more, success in terms of, she made some more sales, but something that really stood out to me about our conversation was, people are engaging with this. I feel like I'm developing a community and I feel like people understand not just what I'm selling, but why I do what I do. And I think that that's what's missing. We're so big on the sell that my country accent, sale. We're so big on the sale that we forget about the why. And to me, the why is always a who, not to sound like Dr. Seuss out here, but I think it's getting to the root of the person that's behind the business.
That's awesome. So how do you bring that out of your clients?
Yeah, I'm a yapper. I think that's pretty of me. I love talking and I love asking questions. I've been staring at this one camera. I hope that's okay. Shout out to Paul Bourlet if you're watching this, because I think that if you're into podcasts, which you might be if you're watching this podcast, my friend Paul from college has one called A Walk with Paul. And he explores a lot of existential questions that he's working with. And something that we've always talked about is just the importance of, digging. I think that people are mysteries. And I think that lots of people feel uncomfortable on camera and they maybe feel again, they have to bring out that online avatar persona of who I need to be for this interview or for this video, for this content. As a business owner, it is also hard for me to show up online sometimes because we all feel a little phony. And so I think if behind the camera, we're actually just chilling and having a conversation, and if behind the camera, you feel like I get you, and I am genuinely trying my best to capture you, like I said, just authentically. I, try to give it. I always tell people that I specialize in like an elevated home video feel because I want it to be real, but I want it to also be in 4K. You know what I mean? Like, I think those things can coexist together now.
Nice.
But yeah, I think just conversation and questions and confidence. I think that if I am showing up confidently in, capturing you, you are more apt to also be like, oh, yeah, no, I do got this. Like, I feel like I'm my client's biggest cheerleader, and I love that.
Do you ever have trouble getting your clients to be vulnerable, or because of who you are, is it pretty natural and easy for you?
That's actually a great question because I haven't ever really thought about it. Like, I think that I love, again, the countryism is going to come out. Like, I love a tough nut to crack. Like, it doesn't bother me if somebody is a little shy or if somebody is, maybe not as comfortable, because I always try to find a way to make them laugh. And I think that just does come from like my upbringing and my grandparents. And I think life can either be really scary or really silly, depending on your perspective, because a lot of unexpected things are going to happen. Mm-hmm. And if you view life as a sitcom, I think that's a little easier than viewing it as a horror movie. Because think about the stuff that happens in sitcoms, or think about like, viewer, come with me for a second. Think if the editing was different in Home Alone and the music was different in Home Alone.
It'd be a totally different story.
A horror film. That is terrifying. So many scary things happen to them. And I mean, like, hey, maybe don't break into a little kid's house. That was weird of you guys. But like the nail in the foot, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. And based on your perspective, we were like, ooh, haha. But when real life happens, I think we have that same choice. Am I going to, cue the scary music, or am I going to make something out to cue the laugh track? Yeah. And so I think that I am such a clown that people can't help but I have a good time. And I think that when people are having a good time, you see who they are in terms of personality. I don't think, my hope is that I am never catching my clients on like their worst day. And if I am, we'll just reschedule, babe. Like, that's really okay.
Well, I'm glad we went down this path, because one of the things that I've struggled with is in my personal life, I like to be funny, right? And really inappropriate.
And as a lawyer, you're like, there's a weird, how do I, yeah.
Yeah. As a lawyer, I'm getting people telling me, no, you've got to be more serious and put out serious content. And I'm like,
okay.
So what are your thoughts on that? Should I be how do I balance that being myself versus being a professional attorney?
I think that's so valid. And I think that this podcast to me, or this interview, I hope is a positive example of how to do both. I find that I think as long as you're keeping it PG and as long as you're being respectful, I do feel that the culture of work is changing. I was recently, shout out to Out Georgia. Now I'm shouting out this is my shout out camera. But I was on an interview panel about generational differences in entrepreneurship, and I was representing Gen Z. And, I opened with a silly Kim Kardashian quote from the internet. And I could tell that it was a crazy choice, but because I did, people were like, what's going on? And then they kind of listened more. And then by the end of it, we were getting really vulnerable. We were laughing. It was the kind of interview where audience was able to ask us questions. We were able to ask them questions. And so I think everybody is so, caught up in perception. I think we're a little scared to show up. And I think that the fear of being not taken seriously prevents us from showing up. And I think that as long as you can back up the claims, you're being PG and you're being respectful, I don't really see a problem with showing personality, because people are booking you. And a casting director told me one time, at the time I had it was a pixie cut with like a skunk stripe in it. And the casting director, it was like white and then black. And this casting director was like, you're not going to be right for everybody, but the people that you're right for, you're going to be perfect for. Nice. And that he was like, don't let some people's deterrence prevent you from being who you are, is kind of the lesson that I took from that. Maybe he was just like, skunk stripes are so in, girl. But I don't know. But I just feel like that it was more of a, hey, it's okay to show up. Everybody's actually so scared that if you show up as yourself authentically, it's going to encourage the people around you to do the same.
Nice. What I heard you say partway through that was...
you said a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but what stuck with me was you need to be PG and respectful.
Yeah.
Because I can fall out of
and that's
both of those things.
I think that's the thing is just, and maybe that's so I do a lot of, we have, I guess, as an aside, we have a student filmmaking program. And so I work with a lot of teenagers and kids. And so for me, if I'm on like an actual horror film, R-rated film set where everybody is an adult, there's a different expectation for professionalism to me than if I'm online showing up to potential clients. I think, you know what I mean? I think it's all about the relationship that you have to the people. So I think for people that maybe struggle with, I know that this is maybe a loaded term now, but like political correctness, I think, is it PG? Is it respectful? Is a good filter? Because then it's like, if this is like my buddy that's like going to get it, that's a different scenario than like, I'm going to post this on Facebook so that my grandma can see it. You know what I mean? Like, would my grandma dislike this if that was a button, is maybe a good third like filter for us.
That's helpful.
Right. Like if I told my grandma I was posting this, would she be like,
don't do that?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you completely underestimate about yourself when turning your creative skill into a business that has bills to pay, deadlines to meet, clients to service? How did you balance that? Because I think a lot of creative people may struggle with those things. And you're very creative, obviously. How did you find your balance?
I am still finding it. I think that's a fabulous question. I'm finding it. Because it is sort of the existential struggle. I was actually just on with a bride and I was like, this makes my personal relationships great, but my business can sometimes suffer for this. I was like, I genuinely never want money to be the reason that you don't have a wedding video. You know what I mean? Like, if there is a way that I can make this work, even if it's like sending out some of my student filmmakers, like I will do everything in my power to make this happen. Because to me, there is sort of this inherent challenge when commodifying art, I think is just a good way to kind of sum up the way that you said it, because I value what we do so much. And I think getting people to understand the monetary value in a time that is very economically challenging. Like right now, I know that we are a luxury service, and for business owners who need that for marketing, that's a bit more like justifiable than maybe a couple fresh out of college that like doesn't really have the funds. So I still am kind of navigating that world, but I love that the mentorship opportunities that I'm doing on the side kind of give me a way to kind of make both make sense. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is the year where I'm definitely, I guess, locking in a bit more on the business side of things, because I really do want us to thrive. And my current goal is to have actual positions for my interns when they do graduate college, because they're currently in high school. And so I'm kind of doing that pre-planning of, I have some stellar filmmakers. Like, I think Peyton Cooper is the future of film. She's already an award-winning filmmaker, and she's like 17 years old, which is crazy. I am so proud of her. Awesome. And I want to give her a job one day. So I really do. I think that this balance for me is becoming increasingly important. But I am grateful that I have a lot of lovely people who help me with the financial side. David Anderegg, my finance guy, is beautiful and wonderful and lovely.
David is awesome.
He's amazing. And I think that people like David who are offering financial literacy advice to people. I just got one of those apps where you can like cancel unwanted subscriptions. Like I just am trying to, as an individual person who is the sole owner of the LLC, like, how can I just make sure that my house is in order so that I'm not messing up anybody with me? You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think in terms of bringing things in, it still is a challenge. But the Tim Past Future Filmmakers Foundation really helps us be able to be budget friendly for people so that I am not, it's more of a, maybe we're not in your range right now, but if you ever need us in the future, we would love to be there for you. You know what I mean? So I'm still finding it, but I think I'm in a good place because of the wonderful financial mentors that I have put in my life.
Excellent. So you mentioned goals for 2026 and beyond, one of them being hiring some of the people who are currently interning for you.
Yeah.
What other big goals do you have for this year?
I made a really ugly cake and then I posted it online with some of our goals. So, if I was editing this, I'd be like, cut to the ugly cake. Which I can send you. But one of them was unlocking a new wedding location because we did 2 Texas weddings last year. We did one in Dallas and one in Austin. And we've done at least one in South Carolina. Obviously, we've done a ton in Georgia. I was like looking through our wedding videos for a client and I was like, well, sorry, so many to scroll through. It's hard to find what I'm looking for. But I want to find, sort of a new place, maybe on the West Coast. We've had a couple of inquiries for California weddings that just didn't work out. Some was COVID, some was travel, some was like, this or that. But I would love to sort of unlock a new destination. In addition to that, because it's 2026, I thought it would be fun to shoot for 6 graduate shoots from 6 different colleges. And I love the idea of Georgia colleges because we have so many options. Yeah. I could totally, get, 6 different campuses and 6 different color schemes and kind of get a cool 2026 grad project going. I'm trying to think of other goals, but yeah, I think right now, just kind of continuing to capture people as they are. And really my main goal this year is to help business owners, myself included, show up online in a way that feels comfortable and confident and real. Because I think that that's kind of, I don't know. Again, I think that's what's missing and it's up to us to change it by showing up, maybe not 100% authentically if we have some problems with that. But
maybe 98%.
Showing a 98. Yeah. Like again, we're gearing up to go to grandma's house for Thanksgiving, like clean it up a little, but still like that, but you can still feel like you. And that's what I want.
Great. Can you tell me about a project or walk me through it from start to finish that you're especially proud of and something that you learned from that recently?
Yeah. So, shout out camera. We did some promotional material. Actually, I guess it was more of an industrial. So a local, actually very local to you guys, Harris Doors and Millworks. I would have never heard of them because they make doors. It's a factory that makes doors. And they found us on Google, which also as a business owner felt so cool. I was like, what do you mean you don't know me at all and you found me on Google? Nice. But Scotty was looking to hire people per department. And they had, I want to say 5 or 6 different departments in the warehouse. So we got to literally come in, meet people from each department, learn what they did, and then do a combination of handheld and drone footage to show people, hey, this interior door department does this. The shipping department does this. If you're interested, you can apply. But also, they now just have those for their website so that if, I assume that their clients are probably like the actual distributors themselves. So if hypothetically Home Depot, Lowe's, whoever is like, well, do you guys specialize in, SDL, I think is what it's called. It's been a while since I edited this video. But, do you specialize in this particular type of door? Yeah, I do. And here's a 4K video with drones to show you. And so something that I love about that project especially is that because of the nature of the factory and the way that they work there, each team has somebody who's bilingual on it, but there are a lot of people at the factory who only speak Spanish. So what we did was we did an English version of all 6 of the videos, and we also did a Spanish version of all 6 of the videos. My minor in college was Spanish, and I do not consider myself fluent, but I consider myself very conversational. And so Karen at Harris Doors and Millworks helped me tweak my, second language mistakes in the captions. But at the end of the day, it felt like we were able to accurately and completely capture what they do. And then at the end of it, we were able to also capture I believe it's like a spring luncheon kind of thing. So we got everybody working. And then we also did photography of everybody just hanging out, like getting to see people in their element, doing their actual day jobs, helping them get the business promotional material that they needed, but then also getting to do an event with them and, kind of seeing. And this is sort of like a spiritual aside, but I remember telling Scotty over the lunch, everybody was like chowing down on delicious tacos and we had little cakes. It was awesome. But just hearing the mix of people and everybody was laughing and everybody was excited and there were like different languages going on. I was like, this is exactly like what heaven sounds like. I was like, this is so cool. Like just being able to capture what you do fiscally, what you do, but also who you are. And I think that project, we were able to really get a full feel and also give them the material to show people the same thing, to show them what I saw, which is, professionalism and expert craftsmanship, but also community and also allyship, even with putting it in 2 different languages to reach everybody. And then, having at least one person on the team who can talk to everybody on the team. Like it was just a really fabulous experience to see how they worked. And so we had an initial consult meeting. Then we actually filmed it. I want to say we only filmed it for a day. And then I came back for the event on another day. So I guess we did 2 shoot days with them. And then one more meeting to just wrap up. Scotty was like, hey, you mixed up maybe this one thing from here. Let's tweak that. Oh, let's cut this one part. We do a little wrap up meeting, make sure everybody's happy. And then, now they have a bunch of stuff to show the world what they do.
That's great. What is one thing that you wish your clients understood about the realities of professional video production before they booked you?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I think that the realities of video production, so I'm going to like knock on everything when I say this. My contract covers me a lot, but in these cases, we're doing live event videography, and there are a lot of unpredictable factors, and that is why you're paying extra for the professionalism and for the experience and for the equipment. There have been times, the first wedding that I wasn't there for, that I sent my associate shooters, again, Paul Brule, I hope you're watching this, because shout out to you. Right before the vows, all love to this couple who I will not name, but they got married in July at like 2 p.m. outside.
In Georgia.
And so from what they told me, this sounds so insanely stressful. Paul's camera dies, like overheats and dies. We've never had it happen ever again. Overheats. He runs to the van. He comes back, starts recording in perfect time for the bride's vows. I didn't even tell her a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so, and I guess if you're like creepy and nosy, don't have a ton of July weddings.
Yeah.
If you really want to see how that turns out, you know what I mean? Like, go in a rabbit hole. But I think it is something that is so like adrenaline inducing. I think sometimes people are like, well, I don't get why video is so much more expensive than photo. And I think the audio is the biggest element of it. I mean, first of all, our editing just takes way longer. And there are a lot of audio tweaks that need to happen, and also a lot of music things that need to happen. There's also a lot of legality. So most of us are paying for subscriptions to use royalty-free stuff. So it feels like even the like free stuff or the royalty-free stuff, we as the creator are having to pay for them. So I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of hidden fees and also hidden dangers of being a videographer. And I think that sometimes that full understanding of what we do and just sort of how prepared we are when disaster strikes. Since that, by the way, we now have a third camera as a backup camera, just like with us. You know, every single time that there's been this crazy event or this disastrous whatever, we've learned something we could do better the next time. And so thankfully, again, most of these problems are non-existent on the day, knocking on everything. But I think it is just people understanding the financial value, because sometimes seeing a 9-minute video isn't really comprehensive of the 20 plus hours of editing, the 10 hours of being there on the day, however much time we spent talking about your vision before. And then again, all those like random subscriptions, and don't even get me started on Adobe, which I love, but it's so expensive and we edit on Premiere. So, you know, there are just sort of things that maybe laymen wouldn't see about the back end side. And I think that is why it is a luxury good or a more expensive service. But again, if you're in a position where you really want videography and you just can't fit in the budget, shoot me an email. Like if you're like, this is the best I can do, I'm going to see what the best I can do is. Like I very much believe in meeting people where they are at the same time.
Cool. That's really important advice so that your clients know what they're getting into, what the value of your service is.
Yeah.
I think that's important too, because sometimes we have the same sort of issue with clients. Why do you get a percentage of the settlement from the car wreck? Well,
we're doing all these efforts. Yeah.
Stuff that happens in the background that we don't show you how the sausage is made because you don't want to see some of the things that we have to deal with the insurance companies.
And also the like time spent. And I think that's the biggest part of it is, again, maybe it's 10 minutes or maybe it's, well, for you guys, because you're waiting on them, it might be like 2 years, but you get a big chunk of change. Like it all works out in the end, but it sometimes, is hard to see how or the process along the way.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned how much work goes into editing. I think that's a really tedious process, it sounds like. How do you, as a creative, balance, I guess, the fear of putting your work out into the world with maybe, I don't know if you have this sort of sense of needing everything to be perfect, but how do you get over that and deliver the final product?
That is, again, I feel like, I don't know if like my therapist had like a pre-meeting with you before this. It feels like you're digging into things that I am working on right now. I describe myself as a recovering perfectionist because I think that, well, honestly, a really affirming thing just happened. So recently we shot a dance company video and there was like just a baby blip of a editing mistake in it. And the client sent me a message about it. She was so sweet. I fixed it, sent it back to her. She was like, awesome. You know, that's great. I'm going to show it to the people at the party or whatever. And so I think sort of the perfectionism of editing has in the past led me to procrastination, which then makes the issue worse. Yeah. So I'm very much trying to show up earlier, show up, fully present. And I really prefer like editing something all in one big chunk. Like I like to go in, get a rough cut if I can, and then sort of spend the next however much like making version 2, version 3, version 4. And so I think first of all, I brought up the dance company thing, having the understanding that if you do make a mistake, hey, it's actually okay. You're a human person. And most of the time, clients are going to be super understanding. And that's what I've always said is like, hey, here's the final product. Needs any tweaks? Let me know. Because things happen. I tell people it's like the old Febreze commercials. Like sometimes I'm nose blind to the mistake. Like, oh, I've heard this audio so many times and it just sounds normal to me. And you're like, like minute 5 is like really weird. And I'm like, I left a whole, that's my bad. I was like, oh yeah, no, I totally see that now. I think just understanding that humans make mistakes and it's okay. So having a more graceful perspective of myself, because if one of my editors made a mistake, I would never be as mean to them as I am to myself when I make an editing mistake. You know what I mean? So I think just sort of having a, biblical forgiveness about you, but being self-inclusive in that. Mm-hmm. And also, I don't know, just showing up and kind of thwarting imposter syndrome by being like, you know what, girl, you got a film degree. You've done this for, actually, we're going on, I used to say like 7 years, but I think we're going on 8 years now, which is crazy. But yeah, I've been at this for a long time. So I think when that feeling creeps in, I just kind of like hit it with a mental fly swatter. I'm like, not today.
I like that. Not today, Satan.
Yeah, I was gonna not today, Satan. But yes, indeed.
Cool. You mentioned a few times your team or team members that you have. Can you tell us what your team is composed of, who you got, what roles they're playing, and how you found those people?
I totally need to update our website. Sorry, team. But my COO is Adam Brazel, and I met him at the acting studio that we now work at. So I think the beauty of us, we're also just so beautiful. The beauty of us is that we have a lot of experience being on this side of the camera as well as cameraman John's side of the camera. Whoa, fourth wall break. But being on both sides of the camera, I think I know what it feels like. And, that I think that his perspective as an actor and a filmmaker is like equally valuable to me. In terms of our like extended team, we've got like some side shooters that we'll refer out depending on what we need. Bert Parnham of CX Media is a partner of ours. I was like talking before this about lots of videographers are like secretly the same man behind the curtain because we love working together. Like I have a lot of, local vendor contacts. But in terms of my student filmmaking program, I would say right now, my like lead flying monkeys, as I lovingly call them, would be Peyton Cooper, who is heading up our student filmmaking program. I've got Trisha Terrell is leading communications in terms of social media things. And then I've sort of got an editor miscellaneous team of Sophia Escobar, Ria Kansara, and Emma Hogan. And they are really beautiful and wonderful, but also so kind. And I really love that the student filmmaking program, first of all, just kind of is girl dominated. I don't know how that happened, but I really enjoy working, especially with young women and encouraging, young lady filmmakers that, hey, you can do this too. Anybody that acts like you can't, I really don't understand why we're still operating under that in the year of our Lord, 2026 now. But I think that we as a team, and I don't want to leave out Adam's wife, Leah Brazel, has been very instrumental in helping lead that student filmmaking program as well. I feel like we are a trio of their like cool aunties and uncle that are leading them, through navigating maybe, do I want to do this after high school? Do I want to go to film school? Do I want to do something else? Do I want to be in the film industry? Do I want to just sometimes be an extra on film sets? That's fine. Like I've got some kids that want to be like dermatologists and stuff. I love that. Come out on a Saturday shoot and have fun with us. Like that's okay too. I find that, not to get too deep, but I feel like it really is crime prevention and harm prevention and suicide prevention to have teenagers who are in an emotionally vulnerable stage in their lives doing something productive and communal and together physically in person most of the time. as opposed to, just being isolated and feeling isolated. So I think it is very important work that we do with the Tim Pass Future Filmmakers Foundation. But I really love, I don't know, the people that we are continuing to collect along the way. So sorry to anyone I missed. I shouted out Chase Hunter earlier. He is our music producer. And I think my last one for my shout out section. But he has been with the team since day one. I mean, we went to high school together, and I was like, nobody's really doing original music for wedding videos. What if we started doing that? And he was already producing music independently. So we have, wedding videos available. I recently posted a snippet from one where they have a score that was originally created for their wedding video. It doesn't exist anywhere else. And it is completely customized to them and the kind of music that they like. Like, we go in with your wedding playlist when we make them. So I did want to shout out Chase a little extra because I feel like not enough people know about the wedding music package that we offer as well.
Nice. So one of the things that I thought about while you were telling your story of the Future Filmmakers, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay. So I've had interns over the years. We usually have one intern per semester. I tell them all their first day that I'm going to try to talk them out of going to law school and talk them out of going into this business. Now, I'm failing miserably because every single intern has gone on to law school.
Whoa.
But I try to give them the reality
of the situation.
And not just the glamorous stuff that you might see on TV or you heard from somebody else, right?
Yeah.
What advice do you give young students who are thinking about going into the filmmaking industry? What do you tell them about your business and realities?
I tell them, I think that you can be an artist and something else. I think that you don't have to be, we've really subscribed to like the starving artist motif. And I think that that's really silly. I know several people who I consider filmmakers and actors who have like corporate 9-to-5 jobs and are just like doing the work at night and on the weekends. So I think in terms of like advice for future filmmakers, it doesn't have to be your career. Like, I kind of feel similar. I'm okay when my students don't desire to go into the business, but I'm also equally okay when they say like, I want to work for you, or I want to start my own company, or I want to work for Marvel or whatever, So I think giving them the hands-on experience and giving them the words, like the verbiage maybe of terms that you might need to know on set and understanding of like the hierarchy of who does what. I think that film is almost a culture more than I don't know if it feels like that in like the lawyer space, but it feels like we operate very differently than other industries. And it is so communal and so hands-on. I think that by trying out the different aspects of what you can do, maybe 1 week you're directing, 1 week you're lighting, 1 week you're on sound, 1 week you're acting, by doing all of those things, it gives you skills that I believe are transferable in other fields. So my hope for the student filmmaking program is that whether or not our students become filmmakers, they become better communicators and more confident artists who understand that they have something valuable to say and that if nobody else wants to hear it, me and Adam do.
I love that. That's pretty cool. Along those same lines, if somebody is sure they want to go into this industry,
which most of them are, which is really fun,
and they want to get started, maybe say working for themselves or creating their own production company, what advice would you give them about starting a business in this industry?
I think you got to be bold. I think you got to be brave and you got to believe in yourself. I know that's so Disney movie of me, but like really and truly, nobody is waking me up in the morning to get to my job and nobody's making sure I do anything. You know what I mean? And if I didn't really love what I do, I wouldn't be able to put up with the parts of my job that I don't love. I have to do taxes and I have to do payroll and I have to do a bunch of silly things that I never thought about when I started a business. But because I love what I do so much, it's worth that to me. And I also believe that like I'm going to grow my business to a scale where, you know, Trisha Terrell, my communications manager, if she wants to do the marketing one day, that would make so much sense. Or Peyton, who's already directing stuff, could be one of our DPs on wedding days. That would make so much sense. But it's like growing to that point is a business skill. And so I've told many of them, you know, if you want to make this work, you really have to be self-led and you have to be communicative. And you guys are going to hate this one. You got to check your email regularly. Actually, I know it stinks. But I think just learning those sort of fundamental, like human aspects of basically, again, just kind of raising confidence in yourself and in your art. I think that those things are going to help you as a filmmaker or as a business owner or as something else, if that's what you want to be instead. But yeah, I think giving them the opportunity to sort of try on the hat for themselves kind of does some of that demystifying for me. Because I've had a lot of kids be like, I wanted to be the director, but like, this sucks actually. Or like, you know, I wanted to be the cameraman, but like, I actually love lighting. Like they sort of, I think when you're present in the experience and you're like trying to soak up as much stuff as you can instead of get something out of it, I think that maybe the posture towards film is probably what I'm trying to have them learn. Because yes, it's a job, but it is a deep, you know, inherently rich to me art form that is unlike any other art form. So I think just teaching them to have a respect for it, but also have a real understanding of what the business looks like. Because I'll like share a screen when thankfully I don't have QuickBooks anymore. Full shade to QuickBooks, who I hope is not sponsoring this episode. Yeah. But if they want to, I mean, we love QuickBooks actually. But I'll share a screen when I'm doing tax stuff or doing whatever. Like if students have questions, they know that I'm always a resource to talk to. I've got some folks that are going to college for completely unrelated stuff. And they're like, oh, you know, I'm actually so glad that I did that internship with y'all because I, you know, basically nailed this interview because I've had to talk to so many people or things like that.
In circling back to the work that you do for businesses and getting their video content out there, we talked about being authentic and things like that. What do you think is going to hit in 2026 and 2027? What sort of video content? I don't want to get into trends or anything, but what is the philosophy that you think is going to make the most impact for business owners?
I believe that in the rise of AI-generated content, where it is now easier than ever, human content is going to become the premium and it's going to be on top because I think that at some point we have to acknowledge that the only thing that you can't replicate is the soul of a person. Like, you know what I mean? Like really and truly, one got me today, man, like an AI generated video. And now I'm always in the comment. Now I'm like I'm a conspiracy
Hold on a second. Stop right there. What was the video?
It was a video. Okay. See, it was very amusing. Somebody was like, I fell asleep and both of my cats were watching Tom and Jerry all night. And at first I was like, this looks very real. And it's a person sleeping on a bed, the cats. I go in the comments because I'm like, I was like, if this is AI, somebody's going to be in these comments. And they're like, their ears don't move. And it's a time lapse. That's a cat. Like, if it was a cat, no way. Right? And then I'm like, took my like back. For real. I did. I took my like back. I was like, you're not getting my like your AI video. But I think like genuinely, truly, I would rather see a real cat with like a real soul. I would rather see a person. I would rather see a family. You know, I think that really it's getting scary and weird out here. I don't know if you guys saw that like busted Coca-Cola ad for Christmas where it was fully AI generated. I was going to say, he said yes, so we got you after this. I know
what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was like, we got you if not. But I think that like if instead it was like a mother and a daughter and a granddaughter triple cheersing their Coke and being like, you know, Merry Christmas. I love you.
Probably even better if it was shot on an iPhone, right?
Right. Genuinely. I think if we had family footage of family, okay, Coke, you don't even deserve this free advice. But I think instead of your AI Christmas video, You should have had real Coke enjoyers send you videos from their iPhones, be like either vertical or horizontal. You can control this, Coke. You're like a mega corporation. But no, you decided to spend however many hours and however many dollars on that instead. And so I think that we're in sort of like a slop drought where we're just tired. And so, I mean, actually, slop is abundant. My patience for it is not. I think that's unfortunately like what the thing is. And so in 2026, what we are trying to focus on is what I hope becomes the forefront of social media. My fear is that it will not. And so that's why I'm doubling down, because I think that it really becomes more important than ever for business owners to show up in video with their voice, like more important than ever before. Rebecca, the business owner I was mentioning earlier, Thrifty Gifts et al., she sent me a message once and was like, the video of just me talking has done better than anything else I've ever posted. And I was like, right, because it's kind of unexpected for you. Or one of me and Leah's mutual friends, Chris Arrington, is a baker. And one of my best videos, I'll post like hype reels. I'll post stuff that I like got on a roof for. I'll post stuff that I like spent so much time and energy and did all this stuff. One of my best performing videos right now is Chris talking about what she baked today. And just like, this is what I got on the table, because they love her, right? They don't love like random stuff. They're sort of tuned out to like, you know, oh, you're trying to sell me something. Hey guys, Chris, she's kind of trying to sell you something too. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. She's a baker. This is her job, but she's also trying to connect with you and trying to explain what she does so that you see the value in what she does. Because Chris, like me, is a luxury service. She grinds her own flour. And so when people want to ask, like, why is it this much for this? She can show them a video of like, here's what processed flour looks like compared to my flour. And then something that we're working on this year is actually like, we're going to get some footage of her grinding the flour. She's got a really cool business launch that I'm like, not going to spoil for you guys, but it is very fun to see what does well. And it really just is something that people can connect to. So another one that has done crazy well is just a basically unedited clip of a speech from a wedding rehearsal dinner, you know, from a sister to the groom. And I think it's just very telling that I try to do all these, you know, let's get a hype reel, let's do the cool effects and this and that. But what people have really been enjoying is faces and voices. So I think humanity, it's time to rise up in 2026.
Fight back against the machines.
Stop making AI videos. Actually, I'm going to cut to my shout out camera. Stop doing that. And if you are doing that, I understand that maybe you didn't understand, but like email me. I will send you some great stock video websites. You can make funny, silly stuff that you don't have to film anything for. Hey, you don't have to like pour out a bunch of water to do it and also steal my job or anything like that. So I don't know. That's just what I wanted to make sure I said that at some point today too.
Well, that's perfect. And I usually end with, is there any other message you want to send to the world? But I think you probably covered it. But is there anything else that you want to add?
I mean, yeah, I think they're just to sort of wrap up on that really quickly. I think AI is something that is undoubtedly a part of our life. I'm not anti all AI, just generative. And so I think that there are a lot of ways that we can kind of protect our brains. And so I don't know, as a content creator, be very intentional about the content that you're consuming, because I think that it has a lot of impact on our brains. If you find that one of the things that you're opening is always inflammatory, always bad, maybe take a break from that and, you know, do something else instead. There are also places where we put our videos. We put our wedding videos on Vimeo, for instance. I always call it like fancy YouTube. So like there are platforms, if you want to consume content that feels a little bit less stimulating if you kind of do need a break from that. But I don't know. I think we are the creators of our perspective, like we said with the sitcom horror film thing. And so I think that our relationship to technology should be no different. Like make sure that it is a tool that is serving you instead of you being something that is serving it. Dun, dun, dun. I think that's it.
That's a great message. I love it. Once again, Molly Pass, Moon Trip Productions. Where can people find you if they'd like to work with you?
Yes. So we are online at www.moontrip.space. I didn't even know you could get .space, but I did. Am I right?
Wow.
It's so fancy. It's just like a .com, but it is .space. My website is mollypassvideo.com. And you can find Moontrip on Instagram at moontrip.mp4. We also have, I believe it's moon_trippers for our student filmmaker account. And my Instagram is at mollypassvideo as well. So old habits die hard. I used to be Molly Pass Video, and now I still am, but we are Moontrip Productions. So that's a little bit of both.
Cool. Well, I love it. And I thank you for the message. Authenticity, be real, show up with your face. No more fake AI stuff with your face.
Stop making AI cat videos. It's really upsetting me.